Hello, friends. Hello. Here is your energy forecast for the upcoming full moon in Aquarius that is happening on July 29th, 2026. And Let me go ahead and pull it up so I can read it for you all. The theme of this Aquarius full moon is power in the pause. Here we go. This full moon in Aquarius reminds us to release the urgency within and surrounding us and encourages us to return to the power of presence that exists only when we pause. When I tuned into this full moon, my energy focused in on my breath. First one, slow, deep, and deliberate breath. Then a pause to feel your breath fill you, a pause to remind you to soften before you exhale. Then the exhale, and then another breath, and another. And not the breath of catching up or the breath of ramping up one's own energy. This is the breath of the intentional stop, the breath that accompanies stillness, the breath that encourages the world to keep spinning away as we allow ourselves to simply be with it all. And the reminder. The pause is where the power is. Because here's what this Aquarius full moon understands that our overscheduled, always on, endlessly moving culture tends to forget. Presence is not passive, and stillness is not laziness, and it's not stagnation. The moment we choose to breathe and simply be, that moment is doing something powerful. It's bringing us back to presence and to our response. This full moon invites us to stop, to breathe, to let ourselves be exactly where we are, not rushing towards what's next, not replaying what was, and not unconsciously reacting to what's in front of us, to quote unquote be here now in the extraordinary, ordinary fullness of this moment. The energy of Aquarius, fixed air, and the gift of perspective. As the fixed air sign of the zodiac, Aquarius is the energy of vision, innovation, independence, and the extraordinary capacity to see the world and oneself from a wider, higher, more objective, and more curious vantage point. Aquarius is the water bearer, not a water sign, but the one who carries and pours water for others. Aquarius is the humanitarian, the visionary, the one who stands slightly outside the status quo and sees with unusual clarity what could be if only we were willing to think differently. In their light, Aquarius energy is brilliantly original, fiercely independent, deeply humanitarian, and gifted with a kind of detached wisdom that allows them to love the world and see it clearly at the same time. Aquarius rarely gets swept away by collective panic or personal drama. Instead, Aquarius observes, assesses, and offers the kind of perspective that can only come from someone willing and able to zoom out. Aquarius is also quietly one of the most powerful signs in the zodiac precisely because of this capacity for healthy detachment. Aquarius can hold their dreams without white knuckling them. They can care deeply without losing themselves. They can want something with their whole heart and still remain detached to the exact form their desires takes, aka the outcome, trusting the intelligence of the larger unfolding. Yet in shadow, Aquarius can become so detached that they lose touch with their own feelings, intellectualizing and narrating their emotions rather than actually experiencing them. Aquarius can be so committed to their vision of how things should be that they can become inflexible, even rebellious. They can prioritize the collective to the point of forgetting that the collective is made of individuals with needs, bodies, hearts, and souls that require tending. The shadow of Aquarius is when detachment becomes disconnection, when the ability to zoom out becomes a way of never fully arriving or truly connecting anywhere. This full moon asks us to claim Aquarius's extraordinary gifts of higher perspective and healthy non-attachment, and to let that gift be the thing that frees us from the pressure of both needing everything to happen as we desire it, along with our emotional reactions to when things inevitably don't go as planned, which is actually a really healthy and supportive attitude to take with us into eclipse season, which is a time when things often don't go as planned or as desired. So let's talk a little bit about the astrology around this full moon. Cazimi, Pluto, and the last moon before eclipse season. The astrology around this full moon carries both potential power and the invitation to slow down. just like the theme I intuited, power in the pause. So a big deal during this full moon is the Jupiter cazimi in Leo happening on the same day as this lunation, July 29th. So a cazimi is an ancient astrological term for a planet positioned at the very heart of the sun. It's considered a really auspicious and lucky placement in astrology because the planet, in this case, the planet of expansion, Jupiter, is not overwhelmed by the sun's light, but is honored by it, elevated by it, made radiant. The Jupiter cazimi in Leo is bold, generous, creative, and genuinely lucky, a once-in-a-year alignment that amplifies everything it touches with optimism, expansion, and a sense of things coming into their fullest, most joyful expression. But here's the invitation inside of all that amplification. Can you receive it without immediately having to do something with it? Can you let the abundance of this moment simply land without immediately redirecting it, minimizing it, maximizing it, or rushing it toward the next thing? Because simultaneously, the moon in Aquarius is also conjunct Pluto, the planet of depth, transformation, and the slow, inevitable dissolution of what no longer serves us. Pluto beside the moon asks us to feel what is real beneath the surface, to let what has been ready to complete itself actually complete itself, to release, not dramatically, but with the quiet, clear-eyed knowing of someone who has done the work and is ready to move forward lighter. And then there are the harmonious aspects to both Neptune and Uranus as this lunation unfolds. Neptune adding spiritual softness and faith, Uranus adding the electric awareness that change is always possible, and that the unexpected is not to be feared, but be welcomed. Also significant, the lunar nodes shifted into the Leo-Aquarius axis on July 26th, which is a few days before this full moon, beginning an 18-month chapter that will be marked by eclipses in these signs. So as we move into eclipse season, we are going to feel that shift in the lunar nodes. Speaking of eclipses, this is the last full moon before eclipse season begins. That makes this lunation a particularly potent moment for releasing, integrating, and preparing for charging what you want to carry forward and consciously releasing what you don't. And with the Jupiter cazimi happening on the same day as this full moon, it's also a very potent moon for manifestation as well, but not manifesting from a place of need. Instead, manifesting from the place where you can pause to know you're simply good as you are right here and now. So it's more like the icing on the cake. Because the Aquarius full moon does not want us to push harder. Instead, this moon reminds us to take a moment to breathe, integrate, and let ourselves be where we are. Power in the pause. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle, celebrates busyness as virtue, and rest as laziness. A culture that measures our worth and our productivity, and so we keep moving, even when we're exhausted, even when we have lost the thread of what we're actually moving toward, even when our bodies and hearts are quietly begging us to stop. We are taught to pause is to be indecisive, weak, or just too slow. Yet the pause is not the opposite of or the lack of our power. The pause is our power, because the pause is where integration and recalibration happens. And the pause is where we move from instinctual, often wounded reactions into more grounded responses. The pause is where everything we have been living and learning and releasing actually lands in the body, in the nervous system, in the cells. It is where momentum gathers before the next surge. It is where we remember who we are and what actually matters. This Aquarius full moon is giving us permission. Not that we need it, but perhaps some of us have been waiting for it anyway, to stop rushing, to stop hustling, to put down the have-to list for just a moment and simply be here in the fullness of where we actually are. Not because where we are is the final destination, but because presence is the foundation of everything that comes next. Working with this full moon, charge, release, and integrate. Because this is the last full moon before eclipse season, it is especially potent for some simple but intentional practices. So in my opinion, this is a great time to charge your water and your crystals under the light of this full moon. It's also a great time to work on a release list. Under this Aquarius full moon, consider releasing the rushing, the hustling, the compulsive busyness, the have-tos that came from obligation rather than desire. Definitely work on releasing that anxious grip on outcomes and the stories that we're saying that are just telling us that we're not enough or that we have to be further along than we currently are. Those are great things to release with this full moon. And this is a great full moon to just simply be and acknowledge where you are. Not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be, but where you actually, honestly, presently are. And let that be enough because honestly, it is. It is enough. Here, in conclusion, right here, right now is enough. This Aquarius full moon is not asking us to do more. Instead, she's asking us to breathe more and feel more, to be more fully here in this body, in this life, in this moment than the world's relentless pace seems to allow. The moon reminds us that the pause is not a detour from our path, but in fact, it is the path. May this Aquarius full moon remind you to pause long enough to know that you are exactly where you need to be, with infinite love and lunar blessings. Me, Rachael. So there you go, friends. There we have the energy for the upcoming Aquarius full moon on July 29th. The theme is Power in the Pause. And if you're looking to circle up for this full moon, we are circling in my Intuitive Moon community a day before this full moon on Tuesday, the 28th at noon Pacific time. This is happening in my Intuitive Moon community. You can find out more by following links in bio. And for more, please check out the Moon blog, also by following link in bio. Also, if you like this kind of content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, save, and share with your friends. All right. I hope you all have an opportunity to pause and just be to work with the energies of this Aquarius full moon. All right. See you next time, friends, as we move into eclipse season with the next new moon and full moon that are coming in August. Okay. See you then, friends.